Just realizing this is a really big note stand. I have a lot of room here. Hi, everybody. So a week and 1 day ago, today my family and I, we moved from the suburbs of New Jersey to the Upper West Side. And thank you. We spent a year in the suburbs of New Jersey. Before that, we were in Israel. I was in Israel since I was a little kid. And it's great to be here. And Rebecca and I, we're loving it. We're really loving it. We're already energized by the city buzz, and our dog, Lucy, is delighted by the sights and the sniffs of Riverside Park. But for our daughter, Lily, it's taking a moment, especially the sounds of the city. We were talking a little bit about sounds before. So Lily's almost 2, and if you ask her, she already is 2. So if you ask her, she'll say 2. Like she say, how old are you? She goes like 2. 2. And her birthday is next. Like, when's your birthday? It's next, which is it's in August. Yeah. And somehow for Lily, both of those things are true. So she's already 2, but her birthday's next. Lily was born in Israel, and she spent the first 8 months of her life in Tel Aviv, but quieter Tel Aviv that was still emerging from the pandemic. And when we moved, we came to New Jersey, and things stayed pretty quiet. And Lily was shuttled from place to place by car, and we see now how very little time was spent getting anywhere that wasn't by car. Quick, easy, relatively quiet. And now her daily routine involves strollers, stairs, schlepping, weathering the weather like a real New Yorker. And Lily used to love, she was running around here last week. I think she'll be running around here tomorrow morning too. Stay tuned, tomorrow at 10.
She's dancing beautifully.
She's a good dancer, yeah. She did not get that from me. She got that from her mother. She gets singing from both of us. But Lily used to love to say the word motorcycle. She used to love to say it. I promise you this has to do with this week's Torah portion also. You'll see. So she used to love to say the word motorcycle, but now when she hears one, she gets really scared. So she's fine with buses, with cars, with airplanes, and with choo-choo trains, but the sound of a motorcycle, absolutely not. She really gets pissed off from that. And I'm sure you know that every generation has their own flavor of parenting, and one style that my generation has enthusiastically adopted has been coined as respectful parenting. That's what it's called. I love that. It's a great name. Like, you can't not like that. Respectful parenting. There are many definitions out there, but the one we're working with is rooted in the belief that all humans, regardless of age, deserve to be treated with empathy and compassion. And what does this look like? Well, when it comes to motorcycles, for instance, it's the opposite of what my father, may he rest in peace, would have done, would have handled this with me. He would have probably said something like, Shimon, you're fine. You know, he would say, nothing's wrong, it's just motorcycles. Look, there's nothing to be afraid of. He would, really mean well, and yeah, you should be scared of other things or things like that. And my instinct is that, like, that's what my instinct is. So when I see Lily afraid of a motorcycle, of the sound of a motorcycle, then my instinct is to tell her, it's not scary. That's like my instinct. But then I'm trying to work against that instinct because I want to tell Lily that she's fine. There's nothing to be afraid of, but instead I'm going to try to acknowledge her feelings. So I try to say, wow, that made you feel scared, huh? Or, yeah, motorcycles are really loud and can be scary, right? But you're safe. That's what I tell her. We are safe. Would you like a hug? Yeah. So it's not easy for me. I have to tell you, and be honest, it's not easy because my instinct is to say nothing to be scared of, right? And of course, I want her to just be okay, but I'm working really hard to meet her where she is. And the changes society goes through in parenting styles are actually reflected very well by Moshe in this week's Torah portion, especially actually in this week's Torah portion, Matot Masei. It's a double Torah portion. And the portions that end the book of Bamidbar lead us to Moshe Rabbeinu's long speech of Devarim. And Moshe goes through the biggest change yet in this Torah portion. And that's in the time where he's very close to 120 years old. When he's seen it all, done it all, but he still changes for the better. And we bear witness to his change. And the Israelites are about to cross the Jordan River into the Promised Land when the tribes of Reuben and Gad approach Moshe and ask to stay behind. They say that they really like this land that's on the east side of the Jordan River, and they feel they won't have a place on the west side. I don't know if that sounds familiar to any New Yorkers here, but Moshe is as expected. He's immediately furious. So Moshe is really mad, and he says, "How dare they?" He goes into a rant about how the last time the Israelites didn't want to enter the Promised Land, they had to wait 40 years for them to enter. And then that's where something really amazing happens. And it's encapsulated in one word that changes Moshe's attitude. The word is vayigshu. That's the word, vayigshu elav. Vayigshu elav vayomru. Vayigshu. Vayigshu literally means approached, or lageshet, to approach. But it could also mean to step up. That's like how Safaria translates it, step up. And in the start of, and it's a start of an answer given to Moshe by the tribes. They say, "Vayigshu elav vayomru, gidrot tzon nivne lemiknenu po, v'arim letapenu." So the tribes of Reuben and Gad come back to Moses, who's saying, "No, you cannot stay on the east side of Jordan. You have to join us." And they say to him, "Okay," then they approach him, and they stepped up to him, and they said, "We will build sheepfolds here for our flocks and towns for our children. We'll not return to our homes until the Israelites, every one of them, are in possession of their portion." And that's where Moshe Rabbeinu softens up, and he agrees to this deal. And after they help their brothers settle in the Promised Land, then they'll return to the east. And Moshe, who was furious and telling them, "Deal with it," is now truly recognizing and acknowledging their need to be themselves. Sort of respectful parenting, if you will. And where else have we, it's a question for you, where else have we seen that word vayigshu, or a variation of that? Can you think of a different place where there was a word? Say that out loud. Vayigash Yehuda. Right? So we see that in the book of Bereshit, where Judah approaches Joseph, and he doesn't know yet that he's Joseph. And he approached Vayigash elav Yehuda. And what happens after that? So what happens after Judah approaches Joseph like that? What does Joseph do? Do you remember? He cries. He starts crying, and he admits who he is. Right? He says, "I'm Joseph. I'm your long lost brother." Right? It's that act of lageshet. That this one, they say vayigshu elav vayomru in our Torah portion. Joseph says vayigash, or Yehuda, more likely. Yehuda, that's all of us, by the way. We're Judah. We're the Yehudim. So it's vayigash elav. And it's almost an expectation, almost a sort of expectation that the Torah tells us about this vayigash. And Hasidic teachings tell us that the spies that were punished a few weeks ago, well, maybe 40 years ago, because they didn't want to do, they didn't want to go into the land, the spies that were punished, and then the Israelites were punished for 40 years in the desert. Hasidic teachings tell us that it's because they didn't want to do the mundane things of managing a land. They were happy in the desert. They got their food, they got the manna whenever they want, right? They got water whenever they want from Miriam's well, and they were happy where they are. Why make this change? That's going to be a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work to manage a new land and a new place. I think that when the tribes showed Moshe that they're actually ready to do these mundane things, we're actually ready to do that work and to build our land, maybe just in a different place, maybe east of the river, but we're ready to do that hard work. And Moshe softened up, and Moshe realized that maybe that's a hard thing to do, but it's necessary to appreciate them for who they are. And not only does Moshe agree, but he adds another half tribe. And if you read this closely, all of a sudden he says not only Reuven and Gad, he says also Chetzi Menashe, half of the tribe of Menashe is going to join you there. Half of Menashe is going to be on the east side, the other half of Menashe is going to be on the west side. Now, think back for a second. Who's Menashe? Who's the original Menashe? One of Yosef's sons, right? One of Joseph's sons, right? And so, isn't that interesting that we're starting to come full circle here? That we have on the one hand, Judah, who's us. We're the Yehudim approaching Yosef and saying Vayigash. And then at the end of Bamidbar, we have Vayigshu elav vayomru. And this might be some sort of like appreciation of that time also. And the Menashe can be an actual bridge that shows that there's close family on both sides. And so the Torah keeps showing us along the way what is the right way to approach each other as human beings. And if instead of yelling at each other and saying, just deal with it, even to our kids sometimes, then we would lageshet to each other. We would approach each other. We would step up to each other, acknowledge each other. And Moshe might know that the Israelites will be better off. Moshe, of course, he knows. Like, they'll be better off if we all stay together. Yeah, because I know what the answer is. And they might know, you all might know. You all might have a friend who might not know that they need help. And you know the answer. You know what they need to do in order for things to go right? And we're your loved ones. We know what to do. We know what to do. But maybe that's not the secret. Maybe that secret is to let that person be who they are, to lageshet to that person. And we might know that the sound of a motorcycle isn't scary from far away, but feelings and emotions are real. And acknowledging them through lageshet, to be there in their fears, in their sorrow, in their deepest emotions, can be everything to a person. So like Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm going to strive to lageshet with Lily. Yes, it's hard, and we're all tired, but just look at what wonders can be reaped if we chose that path. Shabbat Shalom.